Hi, welcome to Floral Designing with Luann. This video I'm going to deal with bulk wedding flowers, particularly the processing of those flowers after you receive them. For brides, buying wedding flowers online is as easy as the click of a button, but how to get good flowers is the question. Florists know that quality flowers are shipped in a cold chain, which means they're kept cold from the time they leave the farms until they arrive at the shop. I suggest that you buy directly from a quality flower farm, not just a flower broker who's just a middleman. Also, have everything you need on hand so you can process those flowers immediately after they arrive on your doorstep. And also use the same products as a professional flower shop does when they process their flowers. They know that fresh flower food is the life of a quality flower. This is not really that expensive of a product, just to make sure that your flowers will last longer, rehydrate correctly, and take flower up the stem. You want those flowers that you spent so much money for to make sure that they last all the way through your wedding day. Have plenty of flower buckets on hand and make sure they're clean and ready to use. You can even pre-mix your flower food ahead of time and put it and mix it into the water and let it stand for a couple of days. This probably isn't a bad idea because that allows some of the chlorine that is sometimes found in some city and processed waters and allows it to dissipate out. Make sure you measure and stir carefully because sometimes adding too much flower food is almost as bad as not having any at all. Now, flower shops are already set up and they know to cut their flowers underwater. Sometimes they have a bunch cutting tray system such as shown here. But don't worry if you don't have this system. It's not really necessary. You can even cut your flowers the old-fashioned way by using a knife underwater. Make sure you clean those stems before you cut them and that they are rinsed off of any dirt or leaf debris that's going to be under the water line once it's in a bucket. Now, if you do use a knife to cut them, make sure it's a sharp knife and that you can cut it underwater because the first gulp that a flower takes up its stem should be water and not air. Otherwise, air buckets can form at the top and cause droopy flowers. If you want to cut several at once, either use floral snips, bunch cutters, or even pruners. Whatever you do, don't use household flower scissors, which can crush delicate flower stems and cause it so that they can't draw water up to the head. After cutting, I always use an instant rehydrator, such as Floral Life, who makes Quick Dip. This is just something you dip the stems in right after you cut them underwater, and it lets flowers draw instantly up to the flower head and rehydrate those blossoms. Now, your flowers are going to probably arrive either in cellophane sleeves or rolled up in cardboard. Just open them gently, slit open the sleeves, and be ready to separate them and clean the flowers off of the stems. If they look a little droopy, don't worry about it. That's just the stasis they come in when they first arrive. Now, lilies are going to come in very tight buds. As you can see, the problem is not how to keep the flowers to last long enough, but that you get them soon enough that they are fully open by the time you need them. You need to allow lilies to at least have a week to 10 days to open up so they'll be at their full splendor by the time of your wedding day and you're ready to design with them. If you wait too long, then they'll still be in a state like this and you'll see that they won't show their true beauty. Just check with your flower farm, see how early you need to order the flowers that you want. Now, once they open, you're going to need to remove the pollen stem that is found in the center of lilies. If you do it soon, it won't have that powdery residue on it. You can see if you wait, it'll get a very powdery residue that can stain not only your wedding dress, but it can also stain tablecloths and carpeting. So make sure you remove these so that you don't have any cleaning bills to face afterwards. If you'll notice, most people are usually allergic to the pollen and not necessarily the scent of flowers, as they sometimes mistakenly think. Now, some flowers arrive with a protective netting over the head, such as spider mums. Just remove it gently and spread the flowers apart so that they have plenty of room to open and drop water. Roses arrive 25 to a pack, and they are usually rolled in either cardboard or cellophane sleeves. Be sure to check the name against your invoice and see that you received the exact product that you ordered. If not, call the flower farm immediately and see what arrangements you can make for them to get the right flowers to you. Now roses just need to be unrolled and separated very easily and gently. If you find any broken heads, put them in water immediately and you can use them for either corsage work or boutonnieres. As you separate the roses, you can take off all the unnecessary leaves and take them off one at a time with your hands. Now some brides like to remove the thorns. Most flower shops like to leave them on because any extra cut that you make on the stem is just a place for opening for bacteria to get into the rose and to breed and to kill that flower. Just put them in a bucket of water right after you've cut it. You can transfer them to a larger bucket later. Now you'll see protective petals have been left on these roses. This is just to protect them against bruises and against thorn damage upon shipment. You'll remove them when you're ready to design with your flowers. For now, just remove any leaves that are going to be under the water line so that they won't cause any bacteria to grow in with the roses. Now heavy-headed flowers, such as hydrangeas, are going to need a support system. Just run down to your local Goodwill or Salvation Army. You'll find out they have plenty of things laying around that you can use as a grid system. As you can see here, I also separate any tightly packed flowers, such as orchids or baby's breath or stock, and separate them out gently so that they can open up to their full beauty as well. Crushing flowers together may cause some wilting or some damage to the blossom heads. Even calla lilies are going to be wrapped in a protective cellophane, which you need to remove very easily and carefully with scissors. Gerber daisies come packs of at least 20, and they also need to have a support system. If you don't have any gridding, just use Gerber as sleeves. Greenery can be put together more tightly together in buckets. That's not near as much of a problem as it does when you put flowers too tightly together. You can see here we're separating wax flower, which is more off of a bush. But even filler flower needs to be separated and given plenty of places to open. Here you can see that we're just dropping flowers as soon as we process them into a water bucket, but you can take the time later to separate them more fully. Flowers such as ivy need to actually be soaked underwater so they can rehydrate through their leaves. It's helpful to have the professional florist tools, but you don't have to have them to process your flowers. Florist knives don't crush stem cells, and you can use things such as bunch cutters that have special blades that won't crush flower stems as well. If you need to know more about these products, just check out my floral store, and there's a big explanation of everything that you're going to need to do designing, such as the pottery tape, or professional florist knives, or even silk flowers may use a stem picking system. Wooden picks are sometimes used to support hollow stem flowers, and they give extra support in oasis because the wood swells and makes it fit more tightly. You'll need some type of stem adhesive when you do bouquet work to make sure the flowers stay locked into that small bouquet head. It doesn't matter if it's a liquid adhesive or whether it's an aerosol. It's just important that you use something of some kind to hold those flowers in. You can use a large knife to cut oasis apart in separate blocks. When you use oasis, make sure that you float soak it. That means you start it at the top of the water and let it take up water gradually so that it falls to the bottom. If you force it under the water, you may create air pockets that is death to your flowers. I've tried to create the perfect site for the bride. You can find hundreds of photographs of everything from bouquets to church florals and more. Plus, I'll sell you all the fresh flower items you need to correctly process your flowers. I have out several free videos that shows you how to design everything from cascading bouquets to doing corsage works and doing even those large altar sprays that you see in the front of the churches. You do need to make sure you have plenty of time available to design your own flowers or take care of them while they're opening. But if you have the kind of dedication and you'd like to save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, then join me on my website at www.weddingflowersandreceptionideas.com.